$30,000 out of my 401k to buy my own house because it was a much better usage of that money. See, my 401k, I guess it was making, I don't know, 5 to 8% a year over a year. So that $30,000 was maybe roughly making me about $2,000 a year. I don't even think it was that much, but let's just call it that. Now, that same $30,000 was the 5% down payment we needed to buy a $600,000 property that we are going to live in and renovate. The cool thing about real estate is we don't make money based on that $30,000 we put down. We make money based on the total value of the asset. If we make 4 to 5% a year, which the real estate market is appreciating at anyway, you're looking at closer to $24,000 to $30,000 per year in equity. I don't care what stocks you pick or what bonds or investments you get, there is nothing in your 401k that is going to make you a return like that.
Raise your hand if buying a home is a dream of yours. Me. I am sure that a lot of people put their hands up. Yes, you are not the only one. Buying a home is a milestone for many people, and in the United States it is seen as the cornerstone of the American dream. You know, the house with the white picket fence and mother and father and the 2.5 kids. That's the American dream. And while that is critical, so is saving for retirement. And we all know that saving for a house while saving for retirement and also paying rent, paying for the necessities you have currently, all of that coming out of the median individual income is a lot. And so when it's time to purchase a house, or when you feel that you're ready to purchase a house, you are tempted to dip into your 401k or your IRAs to help in putting down that down payment. And I've heard of situations where people empty their 401k to purchase a house. And that is certainly a choice, but let's talk about it. Let's delve into the consequences of doing that and the options that you have to ensure that you are purchasing a house, but you're doing it the right way and you are not compromising, getting penalties, overly taxed, just because you were feeling hasty to buy a house. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. This is Essential Patience and I Am Patience, and on this channel we have discussions about society's impacts on our lives and our finances and how we can take back that power to live more intentional lives by making intentional decisions and putting ourselves on the path towards financial freedom. And if that sounds good to you, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. So let's delve into this. Taking money out of your retirement account to buy a house. Is that a good decision, or should it be avoided? Let's find out. So let's start with talking about the importance of owning a home and the importance of saving for retirement. Owning a home is one of those tangible milestones that everyone around you can see. Let's say you hit $100,000 or even $1 million in your retirement account. Unless you tell people, nobody would truly know. But when you purchase a house, everybody can see it. People have housewarming parties. I don't see anybody having I hit $100,000 my 401k parties, but certainly people will be happy to celebrate when you purchase a home. It's also a good way of stabilizing, for the most part, the cost of your housing. And it also gives you an end date to when you will fully own your house and you will no longer have to pay mortgage. Now, there'll still be some variable costs, such as the cost of insuring your house, the cost of utilities, and the cost of your taxes. But overall, the biggest cost in most people's budget, which is housing, will be stabilized for the 15, 20, 30 years that you sign up for the house, or it will be lowered even more once you pay off your mortgage. It is good to note that for a lot of people, including everyday millionaires, one of the biggest portion of their net worth is their home. People may have a net worth of $1 million, $500,000-$600,000 of that is because of their home. On the other hand, when you are investing in your retirement savings, you tap into compound interest. And this does not mean you don't tap into growth when you own a home, because you do, especially with home prices skyrocketing in recent years. But typically they do not outpace the stock market. When you invest money into your 401k or your Roth IRA, let's say $7,000 per year into your Roth IRA, that money will compound and will double in approximately every 7 years. So if you put $7,000 in your Roth IRA this year, 7 years from now it's going to be worth $14,000, and that same $14,000, 7 years from then will be worth $28,000. And 7 years from now, that $28,000 will also double to be worth over $50,000. So that is the power of compound interest, which is known as the eighth wonder of the world. And when you especially start investing in these accounts when you're younger, you have the most important variable, which is time for this money to grow and to compound and to go up and down. And as long as you're consistently buying in and you're keeping the money invested and not panicking and selling, time in the market beats timing the market. The words of the very wise Warren Buffett. And both of these are very important, but let's talk about the opportunity cost when you decide to take money out of your retirement account to pay for a down payment on a house. And taking money out of your retirement account actually highlights one of the biggest benefits of your Roth IRA. Because you invested that money post taxes, you are able to withdraw your contributions tax-free. So if you invested, say, $50,000 into your Roth IRA over several years, and you want to purchase a house and you withdraw that $50,000, you will not have to pay any taxes or penalties on that money because it's your money. You've already paid taxes on it. Now let's say the money had grown to be $130,000 and you tap into that interest. That's when you will be taxed and have to pay penalties on that money. And that is because you've not paid taxes on that money yet. And it is supposed to discourage you from tapping into that money until the age of 59 and a half. So Roth IRA is not a savings account and it should not be used as such. But if you do happen to really need money immediately, you still can tap into your contributions without any penalties and without having to pay taxes. But the opportunity cost is definitely the compounding. Let's say that out of that $120,000 growth, you did take out your $50,000 contribution. So now you have $70,000. 7 years from now, and it compounds, that $70,000 is $140,000. Rather than had it still been $120,000, you'd have compounded to $240,000 in 7 years. You're definitely losing the compounding interest on your original contribution when you take them out. And next is reduced retirement savings. Because you're not going to be able to put that money back, at least not for 60 days. And if you're purchasing a house and you take out $50,000, it's highly unlikely that you're going to have $50,000 to put back. You're overall just going to have reduced amounts of money for retirement. And when you track what that money could have been in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that would have been a lot of money that could have helped you in retirement. Now, this is not the same for a 401k. If it's a traditional 401k, you will be penalized and you'll have to pay the taxes. But if it's a Roth 401k, it will work just like the Roth IRA, with the major difference being that they do offer 401k loans. So you can borrow against yourself. Now, the interest is way higher than a loan from the bank. But the great news about this is that the interest goes back to yourself, and it's just a way of discouraging you from borrowing against your retirement, because a lot of Americans do borrow, they don't pay it off, and then they just don't have enough to retire. Whether you think it's good or bad that you get penalized, the American government just does not want you using your retirement account as a savings account. When we look at the numbers and how much people have in retirement savings, they just don't have enough money to be tapping in and out of their retirement accounts like that. But when you do decide to borrow against yourself, there is that time where the money is not in and it's not growing in the market. And there are also opportunities where you can borrow about $10,000 if you're a first-time homeowner from your 401k, and you will not be penalized. I'm pretty sure you still have to pay the taxes, but you will not be penalized if you're a first-time home buyer. So what are some things that you can do to save for a house without tapping into your retirement savings? Now let's go through some of these suggestions. One is to just save for the money, and I know it's hard, but you can also decrease your retirement contributions as you're saving for the down payment on your house. Personally, I would not be doing that for my 401k because of the employer match, but beyond the employer match, you don't have to contribute anymore. I know Dave Ramsey recommends that people stop all types of investments and contribution to the 401k for his baby step 3B, which is save for down payment on a house. So he does not recommend that you are investing during this time. But for someone like me, I do believe that I don't want to waste time, especially leaving money on the table for my employer. So I will be contributing even as I save for down payments on a house. But the goal is to save 20%. You don't have to reach 20%. You can get a conventional loan with 3.5% down. But you do have to be careful not to be house poor, because the more you put down, the less your monthly payments will be and the more equity you will have in your house. Not to mention, if you're able to save 20%, you will not have to pay the PMI, meaning that that could be anywhere from a few dollars to hundreds of dollars per month you will not have to make in your extra mortgage payments. And as you're saving for this money, especially if it's in the shorter term, save it in a high yield savings account. Do not put it in the market to be playing around, because the market is volatile in the short term. And so you want to ensure that your progress in savings does not go to waste by saving for it in a high yield savings account. The next thing you want to do is ensure that you make a realistic budget for your house. A lot of people talk about how Dave Ramsey's 25% of your take home pay for all housing costs is very unrealistic, which I do kind of agree, because that is really tough. And it means that for the median cost of a house in the United States, which is about $420,000, you have to bring in home about $12,000 to make that $3,000 mortgage payment per month. That's for most people, especially individuals who are not married. That is a big amount of money. But even for the median household of a husband and a wife, that is still a lot of money that most people just don't have. So with that being said, there is the 28-36 rule, meaning that the cost of that mortgage should not exceed 28% of your gross income, and your total debt should not exceed 36% of your gross income. Now, I would go further to say that it is best to pay off all of your debts before getting into a house. This just lowers your risk, and beyond that, it allows your debt to income ratio to be on the lower scale. So you'll be able to easily afford that mortgage payment if you don't have a car loan, student loan debt, credit card debt, personal loan debt, and all these other debts that are also taking your money on a monthly basis. So prioritize paying off all of your debts before getting into a mortgage. And when you pay off your debts, it will lead to the third one, which is to improve your credit score. Unfortunately, a lot of people who, because they're paying minimals on their debt, or because they are not good at keeping track of debt payments, they have super low credit score. As long as you're consistently paying on your debt, you're paying way beyond what the minimums are, and you are not being delinquent on any of them, you can improve your credit score. If you want to learn how to improve your credit score, there's so much help out there, but having a low debt to income ratio is one that will truly help you. So be financially responsible and pay off your debt and improve your credit score, so when you go to purchase a house, you will get some of the best interest rates out there. Now, back in 2020, 2021, mortgage rates hit all-time low. People were able to refinance their house for like 2.5%. Now mortgage rates are upwards of 5, 6, 7%. And so you want to put yourself in the best position to get the best interest rates out there. And that's not even just for your house, but for any type of financing that you need. But I do recommend that you limit yourself on financing everything. Focus on what is truly important. Another thing you can do is explore your state and federal first-time home ownership programs. There's some that will give you grants. There's some that will allow you to put down less. Find a way of giving you better interest rates. You explore them and find out what you can do to put yourself in the best position to get your mortgage, to get approved for an affordable mortgage and not be house poor. There's so many programs that are out here to help, and even organizations that will walk you through. So do your research and find out what works best for you. Which leads into number 5, stay within your means. Do not buy more house than you can afford. Do not make yourself house poor. It is such a sad situation when people become house poor and have zero margin for anything else. And if you don't know what being house poor is, it does not have as much to do with your income. Rather, it has more to do with what percentage of your income is going towards your housing. Maybe a couple of years ago, an influencer came out to talk about how she was house poor and she didn't have money to go shopping and to splurge or whatever she wants. And people were mad, talking about, you are house poor, you live in a multi-million-dollar house. But she was not calling herself poor. She was calling herself house poor because a big chunk of her income was going towards her mortgage.
I never have paid a bill in my life. I've never had to do that without even having to worry about budgeting, which is like the biggest blessing now that I have to budget this term, but I just learned it today. But like house poor, I'm paying my mortgage. I can pay it, but it's a really high mortgage. Laying out like an arm and a leg. I'm paying my mortgage, but I don't have really wiggle room anywhere else in my life. Literally no money going towards me anymore. I can't tell you the last time I had a shopping spree.
And she did use the terminology in the right frame. Now people were angry because again, she's living above her means. She could downsize for that matter, it still does not negate the fact that that terminology was correct. And the average person can be house poor. People in middle and upper income households can be house poor. And even people who are making well over $1 million per year can also be house poor. Because you're making $100,000 per month gross, and yet your mortgage payment is like $50,000, which, believe me, yes, it can be. You will be considered house poor. So let's do our last topic, which is how to balance saving for a home and saving for retirement, and just some strategies that I am using that you can also use to ensure that you are preparing for home ownership, but also not neglecting saving for retirement. One of the first things is to start saving for retirement early and start saving for a house early as well. Now, you may not be able to max out all of your retirement accounts. Most people can't. There is a balance to, say, prioritizing getting your employer match with your 401k, prioritizing putting money into your HSA, or while leaving a little something here and there for purchasing a house. This is especially true if you don't see yourself owning a home for a few years. So prioritize saving for retirement, and therefore when it's time to prioritize saving for down payments on a house, you will already have a good amount of money in your retirement savings that you can shift priorities to saving for down payments on a house. And then once you get in the house, come back to saving for retirement. And this will lead to number 2, which is diversifying your goals. What are your immediate goals? The great thing is that if you're in your late teens, early 20s, and you don't see yourself purchasing a house anytime soon, prioritizing saving for your retirement is great because you have time in the market. Remember, that beats time in the market. So putting money in your retirement accounts now will put you on a path way ahead of most people when it comes to retirement savings. Also, diversify your goals of home ownership. What does home ownership look like for you? Are you planning on buying a starter house, or are you trying to save for a huge down payment so you can buy the biggest house in your neighborhood? Everybody's idea of what a starter house or what your future house is looks different, but don't get caught up in buying the perfect house right now. Look at the goals. Is it just important for you to buy a decent house at the moment where you're spending time to just stabilize your cost of housing, building equity in this house, and then you could use that as a down payment on your next bigger house? That's why when you see people who are in their late 40s, early 50s, and have a bigger house and a better living situation, you may think, oh, that's just because they're making a ton of money. That's not necessarily true. They could be making the same amount of you, but because of the equity they have built up over 20 years, they can afford a better house without having a huge mortgage payment. And the last thing is to seek professional guidance. Talk to realtors, talk to people in organizations who are trying to help first-time home buyers. Even talk to your parents if they own a home. People in your life who have more experience in home ownership than you do. I know I am. They are giving so many gems about expectations, how to prepare, and how to put yourself on the path of success. A lot of them are also sharing their mistakes just so that I understand the risk and I avoid them as well. And that's why I always try to share my experiences with different things so that people would not have to repeat the same mistakes that I did. And they can already skip to the good part and make different mistakes about things that they did not know. And they can hopefully share with the rest of us, and we can all better ourselves that way. So seek professional help and guidance. Seek help from people who have already experienced it, and that would overall put you on a path towards success and making the right decisions. But the balance between saving for a house and saving for retirement. And to conclude, while owning a home is definitely a great thing, admirable and joyous milestone, and definitely a valuable goal to always have, it should not come at the expense of long-term financial security. Tapping into retirement accounts such as your Roth IRAs and your 401ks can have severe consequences, including loss of investment growth and reduction of funds for later life. By saving strategically, budgeting realistically, and exploring alternative funding options, anyone can achieve home ownership without compromising your future. So let's find the right balance, and these 2 goals that are priorities for most people, all about ensuring the security and a fulfilling life for years to come. And with careful planning and discipline, you can build both a home and a retirement nest egg that will provide lasting stability and a peace of mind for years to come. And so with that, I'm bringing this video to an end. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope this video added value to your life. And if it did, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. Also share this video with somebody who you think will be helpful towards. I think a lot of people could use this information, and hopefully it'll help them make the right decision for themselves. And leave in the comment section, which one are you currently prioritizing? Do you find it hard to have a balance between prioritizing purchasing a home and saving long-term for retirement. I know I definitely have struggled with that in previous years, and I am still trying that balance right now. I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you all again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.